Howdy race fans, welcome to my little show about racing I like to call In the Pits with me, StockCar Scott. Here each Wednesday on the YouTube during racing season when I feel like it. Okay, let me get my plug in for the Twisted Tea Better All Auto Sales West Coast Late Model Series. Yes, they still have a few of those seasons passes I've been telling y'all all about, in which you get entry into 9 points races at 3 different Northwestern tracks, plus Fall Classic. It's a great deal for $100. Please check it out on westcoastlatemodels.org. They won't be there forever, folks. Okay. Also, as you see, I'm wearing green because this is the closest show to St. Patrick's Day, and I don't think I'm Irish or anything. Actually, I've always thought that I was Scottish. After all, I am StockCar Scott. Okay, NASCAR Sprint Cup and Xfinity Series were at Phoenix International Raceway this past weekend, with qualifying for Sprint Cup on that Phantom Sports 2 channel that I don't get, and so I had other things to do. And after the televised portions of practice on FS1 for both the divisions was over with, I had other things I had to do. I had to go get my computer worked on by the Geek Squad because, as you may have figured out, no computer, no In the Pits with me, StockCar Scott. So, Friday night, mainly because I didn't have my computer, I watched a really weird racing movie. And if you decide to watch Speed Racer, I suggest, folks, that you take your Dramamine, especially if you're watching it on the big screen, because the backgrounds change so rapidly there. It's really kind of hard to watch sometimes, even though there were many big stars in it, like John Goodman, Christina Ricci, Susan Sarandon, Richard Roundtree. They were doing their best in front of a green screen, but like I said, folks, it was still hard to watch. So Speed Racer was bad enough to watch through once, but not bad enough to love unless you really liked the old cartoons. Saturday, I saw a little of the Xfinity qualifying, but the results were very similar to last week, with a Joe Gibbs Racing 1-2-3, but with the Phenom Erik Jones on the pole. Teammates Daniel Suarez and the Toad were in second and third starting positions. During the Xfinity pre-race show, I learned about what I had missed on Friday with no Fox Sports 2 or computer. That was a Jimmy Johnson wreck in qualifying and a Toad pole in Cup. During the Xfinity race, the Toad started third, like I said, but it didn't take him long before he was back to stinking up another Xfinity race. So the Toad went on with little trouble to win for a 9th time at Phoenix in the Xfinity Nationwide Busch Series, garnering his 79th victory in that division. Maybe NASCAR should just go back to calling it the Busch Series. He wins so much there. His teammates ended up in another Joe Gibbs Racing 1-2-3 finish with Phenom Erik Jones in second and Daniel Suarez in third. But I heard today that Erik Jones' crew chief was getting penalized for a post-race infraction, something to do with the back end of the car. Anyway, but he gets to keep his second place points, and the rest of the top 5 that Saturday was rounded out by 2 junior motorsports Camaros with number 7, Justin Allgaier in 4th, and young Chase Elliott in the number 88 Taxslayer Camaro in 5th. Daniel Suarez is still in the points lead in that number 19 Aris Camry, with the next race this coming Saturday in Fontana, Southern California. Afterwards, I watched the second half of the Seattle Sounders soccer match. It wasn't pretty, folks. It was not pretty. But all the other channels were showing basketball. By the way, have I mentioned that I hate basketball on TV? You know, this year I'm kind of glad that that the Camping World trucks aren't running in March this season. Then, you know, that just cuts out any chance of them being preempted by all of this basketball madness that we find ourselves in this time of year. With no computer, I found myself watching the Xfinity race replay later, and unfortunately, it ended up the same way. Well, when I got up on Sunday at 9:30 for the IRL race at St. Petersburg, Florida, it seemed earlier. It was like I lost an hour someplace. So the Indy Racing League had their season debut on the streets of St. Pete, and there was a big 9-car pileup about halfway through the race, mainly because they were racing on a city street. Former NASCAR and Formula One driver Juan Pablo Montoya went on to win in his Penske Chevrolet, followed by his teammate Simon Pagenaud. But Ryan Hunter-Reay in a Honda spoiled the Penske 1-2-3 sweep in the closing laps by passing Dancing with the Stars Helio Castroneves for the last spot on the podium. The next IRL race is sometime next month. Okay, next up on Sunday was the Sprint Cup 500K at Phoenix International Raceway. And again, this week, only 39 cars showed up, so no one went home. You know, I'm just wondering, though, what's the deal here in Sprint Cup with these short fields? How long is this going to last? Is this some aspect of the new charter system? You know, I'm wondering what's going on. The Toad led the first 74 laps from the pole there of that 312 lap event. Then because my computer was in the shop all weekend, I bet a lot of my Facebook friends just they must have thought I was dead or something when Dale Earnhardt Jr. took the lead from the Toad, and I said nothing about it online. Didn't have a computer to say anything. Dale Jr. started from way back in 26th after a dismal qualifying effort, but took a readjusted number 88 Exalta Chevrolet SS to the front, driving it again like a ticked-off teenager to get up to a position where that would help him out later there in the race. So after halfway, the master of Phoenix, Happy Harvick, came to the front, in his Jimmy John's Stewart Haas Racing Chevrolet, and he ended up leading the most laps Sunday at a place where, hey, he's had lots of wins. Then, with only 5 laps to go, with Harvick leading and Dale Jr. closing in second place, Enumclaw's Casey Kane brings out a caution that almost changed everything. In the overtime restart, Harvick had to hold off the field on old tires. Dale Jr. was second, but he faded to 5th because he also was running on old tires, and most of the drivers behind him and Harvick had come into the pits for at least 2 tires and a splash of gas. The Toad had, I do believe he had 4 tires, but he only made it up to 4th from restarting in 5th. The Toad's teammate, cousin Carl Edwards, in that number 19 Aris Camry, also with fresh tires, caught happy, and on the home stretch, they beat and banged each other with the closest finish ever in Phoenix Cup history. 1/100th of a second, folks. I hope y'all saw it. It was a good finish. That's a couple of really good finishes this year in NASCAR. And with the win at Phoenix, Kevin Harvick now leads the points and has a chase qualifying win. Way to go. That makes my youngest brother very happy there. My oldest brother's favorite in the number 24 Hendricks Napa Chevrolet, Chase Elliott, finished 8th in his first Cup race there at Phoenix. Pretty good for a rookie. Greg Biffle, my wife's favorite driver, finished a lap down in 21st in the Roush Ford Fusion, while local favorite driver Casey Kane was 22nd after bringing out that last caution in the number 5 Great Clips Hendrick Chevrolet. The next event for Cup and, of course, and Xfinity is in Fontana, Southern California. Cup on Sunday will have the Auto Club 400 at Auto Club Speedway. Also, this Sunday in Surfer's Paradise in Australia is the season debut for Formula One. Luckily for us, that's like 9 p.m. Saturday night for us here in the Pacific time zone. So I will definitely be watching Lewis Hamilton, Sebastian Vettel, Daniel Ricciardo, and what's his name, and all the others kick off the F1 season down under. Remember, this season includes a United States team started by Gene Haas of Stewart Haas Racing. So be sure to watch that on Saturday night. Okay, well, I guess that's all I've got for you for this week. That's all I really had time to write with all the chasing around I've been having to do, getting the computer fixed and other things. So, we'll just look forward to racing at California this weekend, and in a couple of weeks we'll get to see live racing around here. But until then, folks, hang in there with me. Tune back in next week, same Stock Car time, same Stock Car channel, and I'll catch you up on what racing there was. Until then, I'll see ya. Thanks for watching. Be here next week if I feel like it. Thanks again, folks.